All right, guys, welcome back to another video. We're going to just jump literally straight into it. First of all, I'll tell you what we're going to be covering today and what you can expect for tomorrow. First of all, we're of course going to be talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum, giving a quick little look at both of them before moving on into any news that we had come out today, specifically relating to any macroeconomic news that's come out, anything regarding US macroeconomic policy we're talking about today. And shortly, we will also go over global geopolitical news as well. So that will be the topic for these upcoming videos. However, after that, we are going to look at Alienbase again. This is a coin that's been brought up on this channel numerous times. However, one of you guys suggested it. If you remember what we're doing, we're going over a coin that you guys suggest. So if you suggest a coin, it will get reviewed. If there's no coin suggested, I'll find another topic for us to do. Everything's timestamped down below. So if you want to jump to whatever area it is you're looking to get some info on, go for it. But with all that being said, let's jump into it. First of all, remember how we said yesterday that if we got this close above the 100-day EMA, which we did, and the 100-day EMA is this light blue line that you see here. This is the exponential moving average. This is a pretty key level to look at. As we've seen historically, when we go into a bear market, we usually trade below, pretty far below the 200-day EMA, and usually the order is we have the 200-day EMA on top, followed by the 100-day EMA, then the 50-day EMA. What we have now is clearly in a bullish structure, bullish price action, where we have the 50-day EMA on top, followed by the 100-day EMA with the 200-day, this dark blue one at the bottom. We have the 100-day EMA here, which, as you know, the higher time frame it is. So I guess in this scenario, the 50-day EMA is less notable for us to look at compared to that of the 100-day EMA. The 100-day EMA is more notable, and the 200-day is more notable as well. If we close below this 200-day EMA and continue to bounce off of it, that would not look good to me and a lot of investors. So that's one thing to just keep in mind. Now, just as you guys can see, we have the 100-day EMA here. Us rejecting off of this, so we closed yesterday, we were talking about this needs to close above. It did close above, and as you can see today, we closed above yet again while rejecting off of it, meaning that we're back, we flipped it, we can continue up to potentially test that 50-day EMA. Now, what we would need to see here is we would need to see us go up, formulate a new high that is higher than this previous one here. So the next couple of candles pushing us up and forming a new high. It could be that low, then coming back down, maybe tapping off this bullish rally gap as well as a 100-day EMA, depending on where it is at that point in time, before coming back up, closing above the 50-day EMA, and we continue up to potentially get a new all-time high. So we'll see what happens with everything here. It will be very interesting to see, but we do want a new high that is higher than this previous one to just have that structure flip back from bearish to bullish. And if none of what I'm saying makes sense to you guys, like I said, I'll have an introductory course into technical analysis built out for you guys that goes over some of the basics that I'm talking about. I don't have that much experience into technical analysis myself. However, I do have a rudimentary understanding, and I can give you simply what the basics are, what I'm looking at, etc. So that's my thoughts for Bitcoin. Remember, the easy scenarios that I said is that either this was a top, which is the least likely scenario in my opinion right now. I don't believe that to have happened, but it is a scenario. Again, I like reiterating the importance of considering all scenarios so you are planned and ready for everything. So you're ready for anything the charts throw at you. The next thing that I could see happening, and like I've said, is us tapping this demand zone. Again, this will be explained in the introductory course that I come up with. Probably most likely will be free. So what we could have happen is we just continue these series of lower highs, lower lows, tap this demand zone before coming back up to have a higher push at potentially a new all-time high into the low 130,000s. Another thing we could have happen is the third scenario, which I think could be more likely, is we continue down, maybe we tap that 200-day EMA and we flip back into bullish, or we just flip into bullish right now keep going up, and we're back in territory to form a new all-time high. So those are the three scenarios that I see happening potentially. There's of course more, but those are the three major ones that I think, from what I look at, for example, I'm interested in seeing what happens. That's our Bitcoin coverage for today. Not much to update on. Let's go to ETH. Here we are. As you can see, very close here. People were calling this a double top. We just formed a new all-time high near 5K. I don't believe that to be the case. We did flip a little bit bearish, but really not. If you guys see, this is a high, this is a low, this is a high that's higher than the previous high. I'd consider this our next low, which in this case is higher than the previous low. So technically we're still in bullish territory, bullish structure. You can see here we're trading well above the 50-day, the 100-day, and the 200-day EMA. If I switch to the 4-hour time frame, we are also trading. We just closed above. Would that be today? Today we just closed above on the 4-hour time frame, the 50-day EMA, after we were bouncing off of it for around a day and a half to around 2 days. So now we flipped back into that. It looks like we technically flipped back into bullish structure on the 4-hour time frame, so that's noticeable. So I think it is expected that we continue potentially up to form a new all-time high in the short coming weeks. But remember, another scenario is we tap into here, form a lower high before coming back down again to tap this demand zone here. So that is another scenario that I see potentially happening. So let's now go ahead and look at the next order of business, which is going to be our macroeconomic news. So Tuesday, September 2nd is, of course, or Wednesday, September 3rd, sorry. We had the JOLTS job opening. Clearly, as you can see, we were forecasted to be at around 7.38 million, so a little bit higher, but we were actually, in this case, a little lower for the JOLTS job opening. This was considered, like, we would want specifically there to be more job openings, as it was forecasted to be that way. However, that was not the case. We had 18 million less. So that was noticeable. Not too much more specifically for that. Yesterday, I'll specifically talk about, we had the ISM manufacturing PMI come out. This was forecasted to be 49 after previously being 48, with the actual actually being 48.7, so a little bit less than forecasted. And if you guys have no idea what that is, I asked ChatGPT to give this a quick summary so you guys can read this. It's basically Institute for Supply Management Purchasing Managers Index. It surveys purchasing managers in the manufacturing sector, things like new orders, production, employment, supplier deliveries, and inventories. So compiled into single number, so above 50, there's an expansion in manufacturing. If it's below 50, there's a contraction in manufacturing. So if we go back to it, we are slightly below 50 right now. We've been slightly below 50, so there's a contraction in manufacturing. So essentially, manufacturing contracted again. It came in slightly worse than forecasted, but better than last month, which does show a small improvement. So the economic indicator, why does this matter? It's one of the first monthly data releases on US economic activity. So it gauges the health of manufacturing. Manufacturing, of course, is very important for macroeconomics. Just as far as our country goes, very important. We have so much manufacturing that goes on within this country. So obviously, it's a pretty important metric to be watching. As you can see, if it's stronger than expected, it can boost the US dollar and stocks because it signals growth. So we of course want this in the most ideal scenario to again be expanding. So we want this above 50. So if we go and see that US manufacturing is above 50 and expanding, then that would of course signal potential bullish movements within this field, of course. So upcoming news that we'll talk about tomorrow, we have unemployment claims coming out. Tomorrow, 229,000 is our previous, with the expected 230,000 unemployment claims. So we'll have to see how that goes. And then the ISM service PMI, which we'll also go over. I'll explain both of those tomorrow too, with Friday, where you have the average hourly earnings month over month, the non-farm employment change, and the unemployment rate. That is very important metric to watch. So all that will be discussed when that comes out. But now let's flip into the coin of today's video, which is Alienbase. I'm currently on the daily time frame. Just like to preface, we hit almost 60 cents in the month of December before coming down to where we're now at around 6 cents. Absolutely crazy, by the way. So per technical analysis, we're just going to do a very quick review. Remember, with these coins, I'm doing very quick, subtle reviews. We are trading, like, to me, this is very bearish as far as EMAs go. We have consistently been trading below the 50-day, the 100-day EMA. We did come up close above the 200-day and the 100-day EMA for a little bit there before coming back down, where we're, again, trending down there. It's clearly looked like this has been the case for a very long time. Ever since the beginning of 2025, we've kind of just been trading below this. So what I would want to see is, as far as EMAs go, to us to come up and just trade well above the 200-day EMA. But for the 50-day, remember, we want the 50-day EMA, then the 100-day EMA, then the 200-day EMA. In this scenario, we have the inverse of that, indicating that we are in bearish market structure, to say the least, as far as exponential moving averages go. So that's what I will say to that. As far as market structure, we did technically flip bullish here. We could continue to be in bullish structure here. If this high closes, it'll technically be, actually no, I'd say we're in bearish territory. I'd consider this a high. This is our low. Our lower high, then followed by our lower low, somewhere probably around here. Plus, we're closing above the 50-day EMA, 100-day EMA. Yeah, this one's interesting. We have a decent bit of support historically around, if like drop box like here in this zone, around 4 cents. That's crazy. 4 cents this dropped to. You could have bought this in April, actually, at around that historical support level, where you would have seen 4x, which is not bad. But we've since come down from there. You can also look at it like this. Like, you might see something here. Let's see if we can draw that out. You could see something like this, where we are respecting this trend line. If we continue up, like bounce off something like that, that could be apparent. It looks like we're trading above this still. We've had multiple taps, so that does look to be something that I've seen. But if we break below that, I would definitely be concerned for this token. Because again, as small as this market cap is for this token, and we're not looking at tokenomics of this token, by the way, or most of the other tokens, we're just taking a technical analysis perspective. I want to know how the project is as a whole. I personally have looked into Alienbase. I've been invested in Alienbase before. I bought in at around, I forget when I bought in, around 6 cents, and was able to catch a nice move, or maybe it was 20. I think I bought somewhere in November before selling at around a 2x. Then I was out. So I personally would not invest in this token. That's just not where my portfolio would be headed, but not financial advice. Now, remember what I said, regardless of if it's a meme coin, if it's just a general project, I need to see I need to see a lot of activity on the X page. That's one of the most important things. Keeping people engaged, keeping people updated on what you're doing, what changes are being made, etc. So you can see August 8th was a pin post where the Coinbase integration with their pools. You saw there's a post from yesterday. So I do like that they are starting to post more, but it was concerning to see over the summer there was barely any posting from them, barely any communication. We're starting to see some sort of communication now. There seems to be a game If you guys look at their website has changed from when I've last looked at it. Looks more professional. You have docs. Oh, that's cool. The alien follows. That's not what we should be concerned with as an investment, but that's cool to say the least. But yeah, you guys can read into this. It's definitely, look, I will say as a DEX, it's definitely been doing a lot good. As far as base goes, it's up there with Aerodrome. In terms of those being the more notable DEXs on base, Alienbase, I think comes second to Aerodrome. I don't know too many other DEXs on base besides Trouble Swap, which I, by the way, have not looked into in a while since I've last talked about it. But Alienbase is definitely like it. What I see it as is like a Aerodrome's Uniswap. This is Pancake Swap. That's how I see it. Of course, Aerodrome's nowhere near Uniswap or even Pancake Swap in terms of market cap, but I mean it as those are kind of the two leading base right now. And even that, like, they're not doing too much. Like, Alienbase is doing well, though, I would say. Total value locked at 29 million. It's decent. A good amount of active users, good amount of cumulative volume. So I think in general, I would give this, like, again, I wouldn't invest in this token. I'd much rather invest in Aerodrome. The ROI potential is a lot stronger with Alienbase, especially if, like, again, you're relying on a lot of different outcomes. If you genuinely believe that Alienbase could be a token that does very well as a DEX, we see base getting a ton of attention in Q4, and then this could genuinely follow Aerodrome in a nice run, especially if the two are just continuing to crush it. There's no competitors that come out. And again, Alienbase stays active with the community, garners more support, then I do think that this could definitely see a good run. Definitely approach its previous all-time high at around 60 cents. However, it's in from the chart, does not look good. The communication in the past has been poor. Again, we're not getting too much into total value locked, but those are, I will say that's very important. For a DEX, you need to look at total value locked. You need to understand the tokenomics that this project is. I'm not covering that right now. I'm just going off of what I know, but don't take me giving this review as accounting for, I'm not accounting for the TVL. I'm not accounting for that. So that's something you're going to have to do your own research on. I'm just saying, I'm not really interested in this token. I was in the past, but I'm just not. I would much rather just have my money in Aerodrome. Like I said, though, the ROI is stronger in this DEX, but it's just a lot riskier. So that's something you're going to have to consider. Not financial advice, by the way. So I'd give this, if I was rating it like 1 through 10, for me specifically, I'd give this like a 6 or a 5. It's like average. It's like, it has potential. I really like the concept. I really like the theme, but there are a lot of factors that are going to need to be checked. Like, a lot of boxes are going to need to be checked for this coin to have a pretty good run, and to regain recognition, to recover from the December, till now where it's gone in price. That is something I'll say. So we'll see what happens with this one. I hope I gave you just some thoughts to consider. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. A quick little one for you guys. With all that being said, I will see you later.